Hey everyone, hope you are doing awesome. Welcome back to my channel Pega with another video. Thanks everyone for subscribing to my channel, and if you haven't hit the bell icon yet, please do so you won't miss any of my videos. Please hit the like button and leave me a comment or feedback if you like the video or the way I have explained. Today's topic is a continuation of my data access pattern series. So as planned, let's discuss today on keyed access database pattern. Feel free to watch my part 1 and part 2 video for reference SOR and Snapshot pattern. I will paste the link in the description box. So without doing any further delay, let's get into it. Okay, so before discussing about keyed access database pattern, what I'm gonna do is I'll just quickly recap on what we have spoken or what we have covered so far. So if you would remember, in my part 1 video we have covered reference pattern. In my part 2 video we have covered Snapshot and SOR pattern. And today we are going to cover keyed access database pattern. Coming back to keyed access database pattern, right? So what we're going to learn today. So we're going to understand what's keyed access pattern. And we're also going to learn what is the difference between parameterized data access pattern and how this keyed access database pattern is different than parameterized data access pattern. And we are also going to understand about the pros and cons between these two, and I would explain you in whatever scenario you can think about using that between these two. And we are also going to do a hands-on wherein with the real-time use cases wherein we're gonna pull up the address details. Now, if you ask me what is a keyed access pattern, what I'm gonna answer is the pattern where I need to pass a key and fetch the list of detail based on the key, right? So when I say list of detail, right, so that means it needed a list. So this is the reason why keyed access database pattern is only applicable for list kind of database. Okay. Now, second thing is it is different than parameterized database, which I have already told you. I'm going to show you as part of the today's video, and it can only be used or achieved when you are using this from the property explorer. But if you wanted to use that in other area like data transform or for example accessing that from the section, then Pega wouldn't expect you to pass the key, unlike the parameterized database. Okay. So I hope this is clear. Now, in keyed access database pattern can return you a list or a page depending on your need. So basically, what it means, like let's say if you got an array of address, then by using keyed access pattern you can return that. And let's say, for example, you just wanted to restrict it to a single page where you wanted to just get a single address, you can do that as well. Okay. Now the next step is, so if I create a database, right, like as you could see on the screen, like this is a list database wherein I could able to create a key page access by using this option. So if you see the first option where it says that access pages with user defined keys. And this is where the second option where it tells me allow multiple pages per key, right? This is where I define whether my keyed access page I want it to be a list or a page. The return type of the keyed access page, whether I wanted it to be a list or page. Now, if I don't choose this, it's gonna be a page. If I choose this, it's gonna be a list. But this is a return type, guys. Don't get confused with the database structure as list, right? Now, keyed access, you will only have this option when your database is, if you see the structure as list, that's where you will get this option. Now, if I use this keyed access database in Property Explorer, so how we're gonna do is, this is how you're gonna do is, because I have defined this key as customer ID, so I can, the moment I mention that database in the Property Explorer, I'm gonna get this key option so that I can pass the key. Now, if I wanted to use that in a section, that means, for example, here where I wanted to use that as part of the drop down, then it wouldn't expect me to pass the key. So that's what I was explaining on the previous slide, wherein if keyed access database can only be accessed from the Property Explorer and but not from the section or data transform, as it wouldn't expect you to pass the key. Now, the next slide where I have defined the use case. So basically, the use case is I need to fetch the list of customer address based on the customer ID provided, so that the customer can choose the preferred address for delivery. So without doing any further delay, now let's get into the practical mode so that we can understand more about keyed access database pattern.
Alright, before I start explaining about keyed access database pattern, what I'm gonna do is I'll just explain about the setting that I have in. So if you guys have already seen my database series videos, then you would already know about this use case. But people who are new to my channel and new to this video, then I'm just gonna explain for them. So I've got a work class and I have a case type called order detail. Now in order detail, so I have got couple of rules over here. Now I have also got a data class wherein I have got country, list, customer detail, order detail, all this detail. Now if I run the case type order detail, now here what I have done is, so if you see, I have got a customer ID which if I give customer ID 123, then I'm gonna get the detail. Now how I do that? So I have actually got a property in the work class under order detail, and that property is called customer detail, and that customer detail is a page property which has a definition in the data class which is called data customer detail, which you can see over here. And I have have all the property that you can see hanging under customer detail is belongs to this particular class. And also I've got user interface where I've got the section, and I have used, if you would have seen my previous SOR pattern or snapshot pattern, then you would already know that I have used this I refer the data page in that particular page, and I'm getting the details from that particular page, right? Now I hope this is clear. Now what I'm gonna achieve, so here if you put customer detail 123, it's gonna go over here, right? Now if I continue, right, if I click on continue, then what I did is I have got all the details where I can choose the item and I can choose the amount, quantity, and eventually it's gonna give me the total amount, right? Now as part of this keyed access database pattern, what use case that I want to cover, which I've already explained in my presentation, is I wanted to get the list of address. Let's consider that the address has already been stored in the local data storage of Pega for the users. So a user, as you know, like if you go to any Amazon site or any website, right, you can have more than one address, and then sometime we enter a new address, or sometime we just select the existing address and then proceed for the delivery, right? So here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna achieve, let's say you got already an address list of address in the backend, and I'm gonna fetch that and show it to the customer in a table, and I'm gonna give an opportunity for customer to select one among them as the delivery address, and then we'll take it from there. So that's the whole idea behind this use case. I hope this is clear until this point. Now the second step, which what I'm going to do is I will explain the data model that I'm planning to design. Data model is a very crucial aspect of any development. Data model gives you privilege or flexibility on how you can maintain your data, right? So that's the first thing you need to understand before even you jump into writing any code. So the data model that I am planning to use, so at the moment if you see, I have a customer detail which is a page property here. So I'll just show you customer detail which is a page property here, and I've got all the property, and it is one-to-one relation because it's obviously page property. Now that's why I have a customer detail where I have customer ID, date of birth, email, first name, last name, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a customer detail address detail, and in that address detail I'll have a customer ID reference, and I can have more than one address for that particular customer ID. Let's say if our customer ID is 123, I can have two address or three address. So I hope with respect to data model it is very clear for you guys. So the next step which I'm going to do is I'm going to create a data type. So why I need a data type? So that I can have an internal local data storage where I can feed all the data which I am gonna source as part of my use case, as I do not have an external data storage, right? So I'm gonna do a data type and feed the detail over there. So to do a data type, what I'm going to do is I'll just quickly refresh it. Okay, I'll create an address data type. So here what I'm going to do is I'm gonna create a address detail data type. Now here I'll do a submit here. Now in this address detail data type, what I am going to create is 3 variables. So as you could see on the screen, customer ID and address text is definitely going to be there. Apart from that, I wanted to create a serial number just to have some primary ID. Now here I'll go for customer ID. Okay, and I'll text, and the last one is address. I'll just call that as address, or yeah, this should be okay. All right. Now here, I hope this is clear. Now I'm gonna submit, and what we're gonna do is, obviously, as you guys know, internally is gonna create a database and database list, and then savable database. Right. Now I hope this is clear. Okay. Now we will go ahead and enter all the details. So please enter the detail like let's say I put 1. And now the customer ID, I know that I have got 2 customer ID in the local data storage. One is 123 and the other one is 456, and I've also got 789. So I'll just put the same thing. So here what I'm going to do is I'll just enter one address here which I've copied. So as you could see, I'll just show you the customer ID storage also. So 123 456 789. So I'll just match that accordingly so that it will come as part of my retrieval. So similarly, please go ahead and add other addresses for your testing purpose. So I went ahead and added the required address. So if you could see, there are 3 entries for 123 customer ID and there are 2 entries for 456 customer ID. I hope this is clear. Now moving to the next one. The second thing which I have in my mind is setting up the keyed access database pattern. Now where are you gonna set the keyed access? So remember, keyed access is always can be possible for a list type of database, right? Now out of the list type of record is this one. So if you see in list of, if I open this list of database, right? So what you can see, because it's a list, there is an additional thing called keyed page access, right? Now if I go for page, if you see, this will be gone. So let's revert back to the list. Now here what I'm going to do, I'll check out the record. Now here, if you see access pages with user defined keys, right? Now I'm going to click that on. Now you got another option which tells that allow multiple pages per key. Now what does it mean? Now as you could see, this return is a list, right? So if I check this one, it will, so let's say for example, in my current record, if I put 1, 2, 3, I can have 3 record, right? So that means the return will be a list, right? Now if I do allow multiple pages per key, that's the only way we can get all the key. If I uncheck that, so it will still, although it is a list, it will still consider that it will only have a single return value. So that means it would expect, it will always get you the first row of that one. So if you know that your return value or return object is going to be a list, make sure you check this box, allowed multiple pages per key. Now coming back to the most crucial, so if I go ahead and save, obviously I'm going to get an error, right? Now the reason behind is I haven't defined a key. Now coming back to the key, which is a crucial thing in keyed access database pattern, right? So here my key is gonna be my customer ID. So the customer ID which I'm going to enter in the UI will be passed over here, and based on that it will filter that. So what key I'm gonna put is my customer ID, which is over here, right? Now so I'll put my key will be customer ID. Okay. Now I hope this is clear. Now remember one thing, generally this keyed access database pattern is going to be your node level. There are reasons behind that, because if you see, I will explain how it works and then you will get to know why I'm saying it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this as a node level. See, first thing is, in this example, definitely it is going to be a node level because it has got more than one customer. It doesn't belong to a case type, right? It belongs to multiple case. So definitely it's going to be a node type. And in real time also, most likely keyed access database pattern is going to be node level database. So now I'm gonna change this to a node level database as shown, and obviously I'm gonna give an access group which is going to be mostly my access group, which is the administrator access group. So I'm gonna give this one. Okay. Now I have given this one and I have saved this one, right? What setting we have done? We have done a keyed page access. Over here we have allowed the multiple pages per key, and the key is customer ID. Now this is all good, no problem in that, right? Now second thing is, now my keyed access database pattern is all set. Now I need to plug that in to my page list. Now to plug that into my page list, what I'm going to do is, as per my data model, I've done this data type, right? Now this is done. Now I need to create a object in the work class which is called address detail, and then have a class definition to this particular class, right? Now let's do that, address detail. So to do that, what I need to do is I go to App Explorer. Now what I need to do is I need to create a property under the order detail, and here I'll do a property and I'll do address details, right? Address details. Now here, if I go here, what I'll do is I'll change it to a page list, and the definition that I'm gonna give it is data hyphen address. It didn't refresh, but it will be there because we have created the same thing. Data hyphen address detail, okay, which we just created. Now this is done. Now I'll just save it and I'll refresh it just so that you'll see the address detail also coming over here. Now this is all good. Now again, keyed access database pattern, how are you gonna plug in? You're gonna plug in by using one of the existing pattern that I have explained. The reason why I went for Snapshot or SOR pattern first. The keyed access database pattern will be referred in the exact format that I'm gonna show. So here I'm gonna go for copy data from the database. Now here what I'm going to do is I will click on the down arrow. Now if you see, this is a page list, right? So as you see, this is a page list. That's the reason why you get the page list option here. Now the moment I select this one, as you could see, because I have defined a customer ID over here, that's why you could able to see that customer ID here, right? Now in the customer ID, what I need to do is I need to pass the cus ID. So people who already seen my videos, they would know that, people who already seen my SOR pattern and snapshot pattern, they would already know. Now I'm storing the detail or the customer ID in this property. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the same property, cus ID, over here, okay? Now I'll do a checkout and I'll do save. Now the moment you refer this address detail database, address detail property, it will refer to this database. It will pass the customer ID and it will fetch the address details. Very easy, right? Now let's see how it works and why we call that as a keyed access database pattern, right? Now the next, so all my plugin is, everything is done. Now all I need to do is show that on the screen or on the section. So to do that, what I need to do is I need to go to work class and go to the order details, go to the user interface. In the section, we'll go to the collect order. In the collect order section, you see already I have put a dynamic layout, a placeholder, just to show that this is where I'm going to put. Now here what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a table. Now why table? Because I wanted to show them in a table. Now as you know, table is always going to take a list, right? So here in the list and group, I'm going to put that as address details, right? Now my list is configured. I'm going to hide this, do a little more setting where I'm going to hide this, and I will also make this as row editable. I'll tell you why I'm doing it at later point of time. So let's just go ahead and do that. Now here I'll add the address. So now if you see, generally what happened, if I may show you, here I have got address detail where I've got customer ID and address, right? Now the value which I'm gonna have is in the address, right? Here I'm going to use that same property which is called address, right? Now my address is there. So what I'll do is I'll make it a read only always, and also I'm going to put the detail called address. Okay, this is just a header detail. All right, let's quickly run it and see how it works. Now I'll do a save and run. Okay, now here what I'll do is I'll put 1, 2, 3, right? The moment I put 1, 2, 3, obviously I'm going to get the details. Now at this very point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the tracer, okay, so that you would understand. Now as you know, the moment I click on continue, that means this collect order section will be executed, right? Sorry, I'll just clear it up. Collect order section will be executed. That means what happened is my address detail property will be referenced. Now the moment my address detail property will be referenced, what it will do is Pega will read this property and see that, okay, I'm doing a copy over here. Now, if I'm doing a copy, now it says, okay, it's moving to this database, which has a keyed access pattern got set. So what Pega will do, Pega will pass this customer ID and get you the details. Now see how it works, right? Now if I clear and go over here and I click on continue, right? So that means the moment I click on continue, everything will be already loaded. As you could see, for the customer 123, we have set these three address, right? That means, this 12-8 Copper Street and blah, blah. So this is coming already on the screen. Now, how does it work? Let's quickly see how it loaded. So this is my d_address list database, right? So if I just search this one, right? I'll just quickly search again. Yeah, d_address detail list, not address list. So if you see here, so what exactly happened over here is the moment this page, this section got executed, the moment this property being referred, right? So Pega would already get to know this database is a keyed access, right? So what Pega does is, first it go ahead and load that. Now if you see here, it didn't take any parameter. The moment it got referred, it started loading. And if you see d_address details, all the way if I go up and click on this database, right, where it finished loading, you see it got all. So can you see the px result count is 5 over here? Now if I just go ahead and show you guys in the data how many records we have entered over here, 5, right? So what happened is it went and got all the result, that is all the data that is there in that particular data table. I'll just show you here. So can you see? So it got 123 customer ID 123, it got details, and also for customer ID 1456 it got details. But now you'd be thinking, okay, how am I seeing only 3 address on the screen then? Like, so that's the beauty of keyed access database pattern. So what happened exactly internally is, now if I may open the clipboard, here if you see, if I go to the database and go to the node level, you would see this address details list has already been executed, where you got the result, right? You got 5 results, both for 123 and for, so if you see both for 123 and for 456, right? Now how it did is, it loaded the entire list, and then what it does is, it will pass the customer ID, and then from here it will do the filtration. Now here the customer ID is 123, right? So and my key is 123. Now it will filter from this clipboard page 123, 123, 123. That means it will find 3 results, and it's gonna come and set those 3 results in my address details. That's why you see one address detail 1, address detail 2, and address detail 3. Now if I'll show you same for 456, you're gonna have the same thing. Now if I go to order detail, and if I do a save and run, and if I do 456, right, now if I go do continue, you'll see 2, right? Exactly same. When I expand the PY workpage and when I expand the address detail, it will only have 2. So this is how the keyed access database pattern works, and this is how it is very flexible, because what it does is it will load the entire list, and then it will do a filtration here directly instead of going again and again back to the source. So that is how it makes it faster. But you need to be mindful, because as you could see that although it doesn't go back to the source and fetch the result, but still we have to store those results over here in the address details. Now for a scenario where you do not need to store, then obviously keyed access database pattern is not the right ideal candidate for you. But if a scenario where you have to store the list, then definitely this is a faster option. Now coming back to our use case, where I have what I told, that I would allow user to select the respective address, right? Now to achieve that,
I need to come here and create a row in the left. And here what I need to do is, I'll just give the heading as select the address. Okay. And so we can use a OOTB property here. Just click on dot and choose PY selected. So for people who doesn't know about how to use this OOTB property, basically these properties are in the base class and all. So we can always use it. And now, because my table source is address detail, right? As you could see. Now if I add this kind of OTP property, automatically this property will be part of or belongs to my page list. Now here address detail is my page list, which is a source of the table. Now I've just used py selected over here. Automatically it will be part of my address detail. Now this py selected property, if I open, it's a true and false, right? It's a Boolean value. So what I can do is I'll do a checkbox selection here, and here what I need to do is just on click what action I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a post value right here. I'll tell you why you need to do that. So okay, now let's do one thing. Now let's quickly run it and then find it out why you have done it. So basically when I do save and run, right, and I do customer 123, I got the detail. Now if I do a continue, as you could see here, my addresses are there, and in py selected property I've got the checkbox already in place. Now if I open, so before that I have shown you the clipboard wherein I've shown you this address detail being part of our py workplace, right? Now if I expand the address detail in out of 1, 2, 3, because I've used this py selected in the table, automatically now this py selected became a part of my address detail property. So that means if I wanted to access this property, although this property I haven't created, it's a OTP property, but if I wanted to access this property, I can always go at address detail 1.py selected and I can get the value whatever it has. Now why I had to do post value, because the moment I do check, right, I want this to be posted in clipboard so that I can take it further. Now I did a check. Because of the post value action, what it will do is it will go and update to my clipboard. Now if you see, if I go to the address detail, if I go to address detail 1, now py selected became true. But however, if I go to address detail 2 and address detail 3, the py selected will still remain blank. So this is how you can achieve this. And also at the moment, it is like you can select more than one. You can always put a refresh condition wherein you put a data transform, wherein you can deselect all, like remove all the py selected or set to false and only choose the one selected. So you can do all these things by using the data transform, which I had shown you in many times in my other videos, so which I'm not going to focus over here. Now this is kind of end of my data access keyed access pattern. So now I wanted to tell you another thing which is very crucial on a very high level, what you had seen. So let me just recap quickly. You have a list which is in the node level, and now because it's a list, that's why you have ability to have the keyed page access pattern, and wherein you can define what is the key that you are expecting from the external source who is calling you. Now the same key you can define in the database and in the list of page list, and then over here you can select one of the pattern SOR or the snapshot pattern, and then you can define that particular database. And because you have defined this database, then obviously it will expect you to give the key. Now this is the only place where you can actually do this keyed access database, the data access pattern. I'll tell you why I'm telling this one. If I go to this particular database, now you see this is right. Now if I go to parameter, right, there is no parameter. Can you see that? I do not have any parameter, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'll just create a property which is a temp property, or temp address list. Okay, temp address list. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you, I'm going to use the same page list in a reference pattern. What I'm going to show you is I'll show you the difference between how you can use this database, which is a keyed access database. When you use that database in the property tab, how it's going to behave then when you use that database in the section tab or as part of the drop down. Now I have created temp address list, right? Now if I go to the order collect order detail, here I'm just going to do is I'm going to bring a dynamic layout again. Okay, and here what I'm going to do is I'll say title is holding temp address. I'm just going to show you this one so that you would understand what I meant is. Now here what I'm going to do is I'll get a text input, and this text input I will call that as a drop down. Now I'll change that to drop down, and the property is temp address detail, right? Now what I want is, I would expect, let's say if I wanted to reuse the database, right? Which database I wanted to use is the address detail list, right? Now, the moment I enter, so technically, based on your thought process, what would you expect? You would expect a customer ID to be, given, right? Because this d underscore address detail list, because we have a key as customer ID, and whenever we are using this as part of the property list of property, they are expecting me to pass a customer ID. But if you just have noticed that if I'm using this d underscore address detail list as part of a reference pattern, which is part of our drop down list source, it didn't ask me any customer ID. Now, why is that? Now, this is where how keyed access database pattern is different than the parameterized database pattern. Now, like I just told before, keyed access database pattern can only be used or be able to achieve by using this way, wherein you define under the property. Now, anywhere else, if you wanted to use the database, then it will not expect you to pass the ID. It will just treat like a normal database. So that means if I go to this particular database, it will simply ignore all this fact. This will be only come into picture when you are going to use that as part of your property tab. Okay. Now, I hope this is clear. Now, just to show you that if I do de-address list, now if I just do, and I'll show you address both the places, I'll submit, I'll save. And now if I go here, sorry, I'll pick any of them. If I go here and I'll just refresh it, I think that should help me. Yeah. So can you see all the 5 addresses I can see? Now, this is what the difference between a parameterized database versus a keyed database. Now, the same database, if you see, I have the key, which is customer ID mentioned over here, but there is nothing in the parameter. Now, let's say if I put in the parameter, I'll say put temp customer, right? And I'll do a save, right? The same thing if I go to collect order and I'll just go over here and I'll do a refresh, right? So if you see at the moment, there is no parameter. Now, if I do a refresh here, can you see that temp customer parameter came over here? Now, what is the difference between a parameterized database and a keyed access database? Keyed access database has got a key, but not a parameter. Now, when I use a parameterized database, my structure of the database completely changed. Now, if you see this d underscore order detail 1, I have got a parameter called item name. I need to pass a parameter or value, right? Now, what my parameterized database does is it takes the value, filter at the source end, and brings me only the details related to the particular value. However, my keyed access pattern, what it does is it brings me all the list, and then it allows me pass a key under the property section, and then by using that particular key, it filter out all the necessary detail and assign only those details to that particular page. Now, with respect to parameterized database, let's say if you got a scenario where you've got more than one parameter, so every time you have a parameter, it's going to go back to the source and it's going to do all the calculation, brings the detail, and then you can use them. But if you see keyed access database pattern, it has got all the detail, and all you need to do is just refer the clipboard and filter out from that. But again, if I see from a con side, from parameter to keyed, now there are scenarios where you do not need to have all the data in the clipboard, because if the data is so heavy, then unnecessarily you are going to compromise on performance. It really depends. However, if you see the parameter database, you just need whatever data that you wanted to use as part of the process, right? So that is where you need to literally understand the requirement and understand which one will potentially hamper the performance depending on the amount of the data that your project is going to load. So based on that, you need to come up with a conclusion whether you are going with the parameter database or keyed database. They both have their own pros and cons. Now let's quickly understand or recap the difference between parameterized database and keyed access database, which I have just shown you before. So basically, if you see the first point, keyed access database, this does not go to the backend or the source every time if the key is changed, as it loaded once in the clipboard. So every time you change the key, automatically it's gonna filter from there and store the data in the clipboard page. Now, if you see the parameterized database, this every time you change the parameter, then it goes to the backend, and based on the parameter, it filter out. That's a different story. Once it comes and loaded in the clipboard, then it also doesn't go. But if the parameter change, definitely is going to go and do a trip to the backend and get the detail. Now, keyed access database, if it has only going to be having only one instance in the clipboard, because it doesn't, like I told, like you would have already known by now, that it doesn't work in a parameterized way. So it loaded all the data on the clipboard, and then based on that it filtered. However, if you see parameterized database, depending on the selection of the or depending on the configuration of the parameterized database, you can have more than one instance in the clipboard, as we have seen multiple times. Now, in key database, you can only define a key for a list database, but not a page database. However, for parameterized database, you can define a parameter for both page or a list database. Now, key database can only be referenced in a property, like we already have shown. Like I have already shown you guys in the practical. But if you refer the same database in the section or data transform, is going to act that database as just a list database. Now, for parameterized database, however, the structure changed and can be referenced everywhere, be it section, be it property, be it data transform, as it takes a parameter and goes to the backend and get the detail. Now, the data which is filtered based on the key must be set to a clipboard property. That means, as you could see, that address detail has been set to the clipboard property, wherein it filtered and shows the list of address that is required. However, for the parameterized database, you may or may not need to set the detail depending on your business requirement. Let's say if you just wanted to fetch the data as part of your process purpose, and then you are not going to store them as part of the clipboard property, it's absolutely fine. So that is another benefit of parameterized database, than the keyed access database. So as you guys already know, it has its pros and cons. So I've already told you the difference between these two, and I've already told you, how it's going to impact the performance and when you're going to use that. So make sure, depending on the business requirement, you think for a while and understand what's the best approach that you should be taking, whether it should be whether it's okay for you to go to backend multiple attempts and load the data periodically, or it's not okay, you need to load them everything in one go and then can store as part of the PY or page. So depending on that, please choose it wisely. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you. That's it for today, and hope you understood clearly. Please hit the like button if you learned something or you like the way I have explained, and leave me a comment if you have any queries or feedback for me. It will help me to improve and also motivate me to post more concepts and videos. As I always tell, sharing is caring, so do share with others so people who do not know about my channel will be benefited. Stay tuned for my next video, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do subscribe and click on the bell notification for my new video updates. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.